196 Nigerian soldiers tender resignation letters to Army Chief Lagbaja over corruption, low morale, others. No fewer than 196 soldiers in the Northeast and other theaters of operation have applied to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant Gen. Tarid Lagbaja, for voluntary retirement. The action comes amid worsening security challenges the military is currently combating in most parts of the country. Sources had told Sahara reporters that most of the soldiers resigning had indicated interest to join the military forces of other countries, including the British Army, Ukrainian Army, and other Commonwealth nations. The soldiers, drawn from various formations of the Army across the country, according to the list obtained on Saturday, are all junior cadres. The Chief of Army Staff has since approved their formal disengagement. The list of the exiting soldiers did not distinguish between those embarking on voluntary retirement and those leaving the Army on medical grounds. However, none of them had neither attained retirement age nor the mandatory years of service. The approval of their voluntary disengagement dated August 23rd was signed by Brigadier O.H. Musa. There have been allegations of corruption in the Nigerian Army, which some of the soldiers have blamed on the issue. Soldiers overstaying in the Northeast. According to some soldiers, the Army is the epitome of deep-seated corruption. They noted that the corruption is affecting the prosecution of the anti-terrorism war in the Northeast. They complained that they were being forced to confront Boko Haram militants, adding that their low morale and lack of willingness to continue to fight made it possible for terrorists to dislodge some military camps recently. They complained of abandonment and accused the military authorities of keeping them on the war front beyond their approved period of stay. Sahara reporters recently reported moves by many soldiers to resign over poor welfare, inadequate equipment, and lack of motivation within the Nigerian Army. Multiple sources who spoke to the newspaper had expressed frustration with the Nigerian government's failure to provide them with decent living conditions, modern weapons, and adequate compensation to combat a series of non-state actors ravaging the country. A set of 27 personnel are leaving, and this set is only Medical Corps. Infantry Corps and Armored Corps are still coming. So many more will leave. Soldiers are leaving because the work is no longer sustainable. People are running every day to join British Army, Ukraine, Russia, Commonwealth Army, and the likes. That's what is happening now. One of the sources in the Nigerian military had informed Sahara reporters. Even the planned protest, many soldiers are praying it should happen, another source added. The news of 196 Nigerian soldiers resigning over corruption, low morale, and other issues exposes deep-rooted challenges within the Nigerian military. To break down the significance and provide an in-depth analysis of this situation, let's explore the following key aspects: the reasons behind the soldiers' decision, the broader implications for Nigeria's security, and the critical perspectives on the military's internal issues. One of the most alarming reasons cited by soldiers is the high level of corruption within the Nigerian Army. Corruption in the military is not just about financial misconduct, but also manifests in the form of soldiers being deployed to volatile regions like the Northeast, where Boko Haram is active, for longer than approved periods. Soldiers feel abandoned, forced to stay in dangerous territories without proper rotation or relief. This has drained their morale, pushing them to seek early retirement or leave for military forces in other countries. Some even consider the option of joining armies like the British or Ukrainian forces, signaling a complete loss of faith in the Nigerian military system. Soldiers fighting terrorists in the Northeast express frustration over inadequate equipment. Modern warfare requires advanced weapons, but reports suggest that Nigerian soldiers are under-equipped, struggling against better-armed militants. This gap undermines their capacity to combat terrorism effectively. Coupled with poor living conditions and inadequate welfare support, soldiers are left demoralized. In some cases, they claim that the military authorities neglect their basic needs, leaving them vulnerable not only to enemy fire but also to mental and physical exhaustion. The combination of corruption, poor welfare, and extended deployment has led to low morale across the Army's ranks. Soldiers lack motivation and willingness to continue fighting, and this has directly impacted the military's effectiveness in its war against terrorism. Some soldiers have expressed their unwillingness to confront Boko Haram, stating that their low morale has made it easier for terrorists to overrun some military camps. In such situations, soldiers are more likely to quit rather than stay in a system where they feel underappreciated and unsupported. The resignation of 196 soldiers is not an isolated event, but a symptom of broader systemic issues that threaten Nigeria's national security. The Nigerian army is the main force combating the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. A mass exodus of soldiers, especially from junior cadres who make up a significant portion of the fighting force, weakens the military's capacity to counter these insurgents. With soldiers leaving due to lack of motivation, it becomes difficult for the army to maintain control over key territories. This could lead to a resurgence of terrorist activities, making the region even more unstable. The resignation of such a large number of soldiers will likely have a ripple effect on the Nigerian public's confidence in the military. If soldiers themselves are demoralized and resigning en masse, how can the public trust the army to protect them? This could increase fear and insecurity among citizens, particularly those living in conflict-prone areas. The government may face increased pressure to address the root causes of these resignations or risk public outrage. The fact that soldiers are leaving to join other military forces such as the British or Ukrainian armies is telling. It suggests that they believe these foreign armies offer better conditions and career prospects. This damages the global reputation of the Nigerian military, which is increasingly viewed as ineffective and corrupt. The loss of highly trained personnel to other countries means that the Nigerian army will also struggle to retain its best talents. Critics argue that the Nigerian military is suffering from poor leadership and mismanagement. Soldiers are not only facing the physical dangers of combat, but are also dealing with an internal system that does not prioritize their welfare. While corruption at the top levels of the military has been a long-standing issue, the lack of accountability in addressing these concerns leaves junior soldiers feeling helpless. Despite repeated calls for reforms, little seems to have changed, and the result is the mass resignation we are witnessing today. Analysts have pointed out that Nigeria's military has failed to modernize its arsenal and adopt new strategies for combat. In today's world, fighting insurgents requires more than just manpower. It needs advanced technology and equipment, something that the Nigerian military appears to lack. Poor investment in military technology is a glaring oversight, especially when facing a sophisticated and evolving threat like Boko Haram. This inability to adapt to modern warfare has directly impacted the soldiers on the ground, who feel they are being sent into battle unprepared. Many critics hold the Nigerian government accountable for failing to address the concerns of soldiers. Soldiers have repeatedly raised issues regarding welfare, but there seems to be little political will to implement meaningful reforms. This is further evidenced by the fact that mass resignations are not new. There have been multiple reports of soldiers resigning over the same issues in the past. The government's failure to act decisively is viewed as a dereliction of duty, leaving the military in disarray and the country vulnerable to internal threats. The trend of resignations is unlikely to stop at the 196 soldiers mentioned in this report. Sources suggest that more soldiers from other corps, such as infantry and armored divisions, are expected to follow. This could lead to a severe manpower shortage, making it difficult for the military to sustain its operations in conflict zones. Another concerning development is the growing sentiment among soldiers that a protest should happen. If soldiers are openly considering a protest against the military leadership, this points to deep-seated dissatisfaction that could lead to further instability within the military ranks. Protests or internal unrest within the military would not only weaken the Army structure, but could also embolden insurgents, knowing that the military is divided and distracted by its internal issues. To prevent further collapse, there is an urgent need for military reforms. Addressing corruption within the ranks, providing proper welfare, ensuring soldiers are adequately equipped, and creating a fair rotation system are some of the immediate steps that must be taken. If these reforms are not implemented, the Nigerian army may continue to lose its soldiers, making it less effective in dealing with Nigeria's numerous security challenges. The resignation of 196 Nigerian soldiers is not just a military issue, but a national security crisis. This news reveals deep problems within the Nigerian army, from corruption and poor welfare to low morale and lack of proper equipment. Critics argue that the government's inaction and military mismanagement have allowed these issues to fester, leading to mass resignations and a weakening of the fight against terrorism. Without significant reforms, the military will continue to lose soldiers, and Nigeria's security situation will worsen. This issue is one that should provoke national debate, and the public must ask, what is being done to support the soldiers who risk their lives for the country? Your comments and opinions will help shape this ongoing discussion. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day.